everyone, welcome to the day 8 of Core Java. So today we'll see an important topic on Core Java. It is arrays. So arrays is an important topic in programming. When you take in any programming language, like arrays is an important topic. And if you remember the previous classes, we discussed about the primitive data types, which can store the values in a single variable. So we will create whatever variable we need, like integer, float, double, any value, and then that variables we used to use. Uh, so those are called as primitive data types, where we used to give the data type and declare a single variable. So array is a derived data type. So derived data type in the sense we can able to store multiple values. So the actual definition of arrays is an collection of same data types. Suppose if I want to create multiple values with the same data type, that is possible with arrays. If you are previously remember, like int a equal to 10, if I am giving, right? So that is creating single variable. But in case of if we want to create multiple values of the same data type, that is possible using this arrays concept. So arrays is a derived data type because we can able to create multiple values. That is the reason they are called as derived data types. And the proper definition is like arrays is a collection of same data types, and we can store multiple values in a single variable. So why we need arrays? You may have some doubt, like when we need to use arrays. So for this, we can take any example. Like let's take like we have a software company, and there are many employees in that company. Like suppose we have 1,000 employees in that company. So in case you want to store the employee ID of that particular company employee ID, so if you are need to create 1,000 variables and store each and every value, that is not ideal and not efficient, right? So for this reason, we will use a data type called arrays, where we will declare a single variable and give the size as 1,000, and if employee count is 100 or 50 also, accordingly based on the size requirement, we will give the size, and then it will be efficient in terms of the programming, and we can write a few lines of code. Otherwise we need to create these single variables multiple times if you are taking primitive data types. So arrays is an derived data type, where it can help us to store multiple values by declaring just a single variable. So that is the reason we are generally using arrays in programming, in order to store multiple values. So the arrays that we are going to discuss today will be helpful for storing the same kind of data type. Suppose if I am declaring an array with integer, or we can declare array with any data type like float, double, uh, so even like strings also we can declare. So whatever array we are declaring, we will be storing the value with the same data type. So all the values in that array will be of the same data type. So I'll give an example, and then we'll get started with writing some programs on arrays. So how can we declare the arrays? Declaration of the arrays. So if you are declaring a single variable, earlier we used to do like this. So if you want to declare an arrays int a, we need to give square bracket. So we can give the variable name any name what we want. So I am just giving a here, and then we need to give a square bracket, and like there is no value required to be specified inside, so it is an empty square bracket, and equal to, after that give new int, and we can declare like this. So this denotes that it is an array is created, like it is a single dimensional array, and there is no size specified. So if you want to specify the size of this array declared as 5 elements, right? If you want to store 5 elements consecutively, then we have to specify the size as 5. In this example, I have told you about 1,000 employees. So even we can assign 1,000 employees here, then the particular array will store the values for 1,000 variables. So this is about declaring a simple array with integer data type. Similarly, we can use any data type in order to declare the arrays. So in the backend, what happens? So instead of 1,000, let me take an example of 5. So if we are declaring an array with 5 5 as the size, right? Then what happens in the background? So Java will have a memory allocated for 5 variables, that is of integer data type, and all the memory locations will be consecutively placed, and it is a fixed size. So once the memory is created, like it cannot be changed for arrays. So whatever in the declaration time we are specifying the size, that much memory will get allocated. So here we are creating 5 indexes, like 5 memory locations, and that will get assigned. So for better understanding, I'll just open an notepad and show you, like so since I have given 5 here, so 5 memory locations will get created. 1 2 3 4 5. So these 5 memory allocations will be placed like different rows you can consider. So first row, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. So the indexes will start with 0. So arrays will have an index starting with 0 always. This is in any programming language. The starting index will be 0 in an so I'll increase the font for this number. So the index will be always 0, the starting index. So the next index will be 1. The third value index will be 2. The fourth value index will be 3, and the fifth value index will be 4. So the positions got slightly changed, so you can think like this. So this is 1, this is 2, this is the, so total 5 we have. So the indexes will start with 0 and it will end with 4. So if the size is 5, it started with 0 but it ended with 4. So it will not be 5. This is the main thing you need to understand in arrays. So it will start with 0 always. The index start with 0 and the index will start with the size minus 1. So if 5 elements we are having, then it will be, the last index will be 4. So this is about like basic concept of array. So this is very important. Whenever you are writing code, you have to remember these things. So that's why I'm reporting with a diagram here. So try to remember this. Whenever we are coding it later, you will understand it better. So this is about creating an single dimensional array. So we are having two types of arrays. So the first category is single dimensional array. And the second one is two-dimensional array. So here I have shown you an example of single dimensional, and if you want to understand the two-dimensional array, I'll create another diagram. Let's take like 3 by 3 arrays. So it will form a matrix shape if you want to understand this. So So here the index start with 0. So if you are declaring a two-dimensional array, that will be in the memory, it will be created something like this. So the index will start with 0, 0, and the second row is 1, third row is 2, fourth row is 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1 and this is 2. So this row is 3 and the last one is 4. And coming to the columns, again it will start with 0 here and the second value is 1. So this index will be 0 and the values for this index is 1. So with programs we'll slowly understand this. So this is for a high level of how the single dimension and two dimensional arrays are available. So we'll see an example. So this example is for the single dimensional array. First of all, let's write some programs on single dimensional array, and then two dimensional also we will have more examples to understand this. So let me go to Eclipse and I'll delete this. I'm going to create a new package for today, day 8. Click on finish and I'll create a new class called single dimensional array. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So in this example, let's take a basic example. So this is for single dimensional, so one dimensional array. So if we want to create, there are multiple ways to create the arrays in the memory. So we can create in this way. So this new keyword is an keyword in Java which will help to create the memory for the variables. So it is useful for memory for the variables and also it will help for creating the objects also. In future sessions you will understand better what is object and what is class. But now try to understand for the arrays, if you want to create the memory during the declaration statement. So this is called as declaration. So previously also for primitive data types we used to learn about this declaration statement. So we are giving the name for the variable and we are saying like how much memory need to be allocated for this variable. Previously we didn't say about the memory, but here this is a multi-dimensional values, right? So multiple values are being assigned to this array variable. So we have to specify the size here. If you are specifying the size, then only like 5 different values are created in the memory. So in this way, the memory will allocate for 5 values that can be stored whenever we want. So this is about the declaration, and we have to also specify the size. Size, or we also say it like length of the array. We have to specify this length, otherwise the compiler will not know like how much memory to allocate. So you see, if I don't specify the size, it is saying like variable must provide either dimensional expressions or array initializer. So this is an first approach I am saying. So in this approach, if you are not specifying the size with the new keyword, it will not allow. So you have to specify the size with any number. So I am specifying with 5 for simplicity, for easy understanding, as I told in the example. So I will operate on the size of 5. So this is the approach one. So it is about declaring. So if we have declared this variable and if you want to start assigning some values to this variable, so now we have in the memory 5 variables created in the array. So if you want to assign some values, how can you do that? So you need to use the array variable name and give square bracket, and you have to give 0. Since I already explained the array start with 0, right? So you have to start giving the variable with index 0, and if you want to assign suppose value 10 for the first index. So this is how you can able to assign value for a single first index value. Like the first value will be assigned with the number 10. So if you want to achieve this, you have to use this syntax. This is the syntax that we follow. So the array variable name, and you need to specify the square bracket and 0 equal to 10. So this is how we can give like if you want to declare like total 5 values we have. So a of 1, then a of 2, a of 1. Okay, let me first of all give the value. So I am going to give 20 for this. A of 3, a of 2 equal to 30, a of 3 equal to 40, a of 4 equal to 50. So we can able to provide only from 0th index to the 4th index. Suppose you are trying to give for the 5th index, it will not allow. So let me try to give for 6th index also. It is trying to store here, but whenever I am trying to retrieve a value, it will throw error. So maybe since we didn't had to compile this code, it is only the coding editor, right? So it is had to compile, but whenever we are trying to access this one during the runtime, it will throw an error. So let me just execute it, and you may understand about it. So you see the array out of bound exception came for the 5th index. Uh, why? Because the indexes start with 0 and the index will end with 4. And if I am trying to access the 5th index, this is not allowed. So this index is not available in the memory because it is the 6th value we are trying. We are only created 5 values and we are trying to access 6th value. This index is not available in the memory. So that's the reason array index out of bound exception will come. Whenever you are coding something in arrays and if you are getting this kind of error, right? So that means that you are using an array index which is beyond the size of the array. So that is the reason. So it will start with 0 and end with whatever size is there, size minus 1. So like the length we will say in arrays. So whatever length is there, the length minus 1 is 4. Only up to 4 we should provide. So if you are while writing it will allow, but while running the code will not run. So we should not give a of 5 in this case. In this example, that is not allowed. Now this is how we will be declaring and assigning some values to these variables. And there is a second approach. We can also assign the values. So the first approach, I hope you understood. So the first approach is creating the memory like this using the new keyword. This is the declaration step, and specifying the length of the array. And every value we are going to assign using the assignment operator. Equal to is the assignment operator. And coming to the approach 2. So in the approach 2, we have another way we can able to declare the variable. So instead of a, I am going to take a variable called b and give the square bracket here. So give the open and closing square bracket and then give equal to. And we have to mention the variables in a flower bracket, like this curly braces or flower braces, whatever name you have. So you need to specify these flower brackets which are we are using for method signature, right? Whatever we are using for the method and class, the same brackets we have to use for the arrays. And we can specify the values in this way. So we can specify any values like this. So if you don't know the exact size of the array, but you want to declare, right? So during the declaration step itself, you are declaring and assigning the values. So in this approach to what we are doing, we are not specifying any size, but what we are doing directly, we are creating a variable on the left side, and we are not using any new keyword in the approach to. We are only giving the flower brackets and then passing the values. So I have given for example here like this, but you can pass any kind of values. So you can pass any number, like whatever integer data types you want to pass, even if it is a big value, it is fine. So this is how you can declare the variables and assign the values. So the size you don't need to specify, and you don't need to use the new keyword. So instead of writing like this, if you already know the values, the approach 2 is better always. And if you don't know the values while you are creating the array, right, that time you can use the approach one. And if you know the values while you are declaring the variables, then you need to use the approach two. So both the approaches are allowed in Java programming. So this is the approach one and approach two. And so we have learned, so single dimensional array now we are learning. So there are two approaches to create the variables. So first approach is using the new keyword. So this I am just copying here in the notes. And the second approach is using the values directly during the declaration. So this is approach one and this is approach two. So the next topic in arrays is about the finding the size of the length, like size or length, whatever terminology. So the length of the array. In array specifically in terms of the keyword that we use, it is the length only. So I am going to remove the size here. So you remembered for the arrays, it will be length of the array. Suppose there are 5 values here, right? uh, that 5 values, we know that there are 5 values, but if we want to really see that in terms of the programming, how can we achieve that? So here a dot, if we give the length method, so length is a method which is available in the Java programming. So we have to use this a dot length. Okay, so it is saying to declare it to and assign it to some variable. So directly, if I'm simply giving like a dot length, it is throwing an error saying insert and variable declarators to complete the local variable declaration. So I'm just taking one of the solution that it provided. So you can do it like this. So and then if I am printing this, so it will allow to print on the console. So what will be the size? Size is 5 here. So the size is 5. And if I am commenting one of the element without initializing it and trying to run it one more time, even then the size is created 5, but there is no value for the fourth value. If I am not assigning it, so the value will not be there, but the size of the array will be 5 since it is already created in the memories. And one more point you have to remember is the size of the array is fixed. So array size is fixed, and during the runtime you cannot change the values. I mean, you cannot change the size. So once the size is declared as 5, that's it. Like you cannot again change later, like add one more value after 5. 5 values are already there, so you cannot add a sixth value again. So this is not possible in case of the array data type. Say there are some other data types like collections where we can add more values in Java collections using array list and other data types, but in terms of normal arrays that we are discussing today, so these are fixed values. The size of the array, like the length of the array is fixed, and it cannot be changed after it is declared. So that is the reason if I give a of 5 here, and I have shown previously the array out of bound exception is coming. So that is the only reason that it will not allow to change the size after it is created. So this is the step that is created. And even in the approach to whatever values are created here, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So here 10 elements are created, and the size will not change if you want to change it after this. So at the first step only we have to take care of assigning the size. So for the second approach also, I am going to take the length and try to print on the console. So b dot length, so it should give me the value of 10. So the first array length is 5 and the second array length is 10. For better viewing purpose, we can also give a message here. Length of array A is. So the same way for B also, I will just give this message for a better understanding. So give plus length of array B. So length of array A is 5 and length of array B is 10. So this is about the length of the array. So you should use the length like A dot length. So this is the keyword you have to use for finding the size or length of the array. Whatever variable of the array is there, dot length if you are giving, it will give the length of the array. So whatever values, like how much memory is created in the memory, that much length will get created, and it will get returned as a number. So it will be an integer value even if the data type you are storing any data type, but this length method will return always an int data type. And the next topic is about retrieving the values. So we have learned here how can we declare the variables. So first thing is declaring the variables. So this is the first one, and second one is about finding the size, and let's learn about retrieving these values from the variables. So retrieving the values from the arrays. So already we have created it, but if we want to use it somewhere in the program, we cannot always use, like if there are 1,000 employees, I have told previously. So if there are 1,000 employees, we cannot write A of 1, A of 2, A of 3 like this, like multiple times. Like the code will become very huge, and that's not manageable code, and not very efficient. So there is some efficient ways to do, like using the loops. So previous sessions we learned about this looping statement. So using this looping statements, we can able to traverse through the arrays and um, then retrieve these values. So here if you see the pattern, if I start with the index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. So we can start our index with 0 and increment every iteration by 1, right? Then we can able to retrieve all the values. So let's try to do it here. So there are two ways you can able to retrieve the values. One is using the normal for loop. So first of all, let's see this example. How can we do that? So int I equal to 0 I am taking. So any variable name you can give I equal to 0. Then I less than a dot length I plus plus. So inside the for loop you have to give system.out.println and then pass the variable a and give square brackets and give I. So a of I. So this is the syntax for using a normal for loop if you want to retrieve the values. And let me comment out this print statement for time being. So first approach, we are writing a print statement using a for loop. So if I am printing this on the console, so we have declared variables 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So if you want to retrieve it using a for loop, this is the syntax. And if you observe here, I have given a less than a dot length. So a dot length here is 5. A dot length is 5. I have given I less than 5, right? So up to 4 only it will execute. So 0 to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Total we have 5 elements. If I am giving here I less than or equal to a dot length, then there will be an error coming on the console. Let me execute one more time. You see, I am trying to access the a of 5. So a of 5 is array out of bound exception, array out of bound index out of bound, array index out of bound exception. Why this is coming? Because you are trying to access an element which is at the index 5 that is not available. because only 5 values are there, and if you're trying for the sixth value, that will not happen. So that's the reason you should not give here equal to, you should give less than symbol. Then only, like, up to 5 is the length, then you should traverse up to 4. 0 to 4 you should traverse. And suppose you want to give here equal to, then you should give -1 here. So during programming, this mistake people will mostly do. So uh, and in the runtime, this error will come. During the interviews also, this mistake if you are doing, and even after pointing, interviewer sometimes will try to help you, and you, if you are not correcting the mistake, right, they will think you don't know the basics. So this you have to take care. So you are not giving -1 here, you should not give equal to. If you are not giving equal to, then the index will be starting with 0 and end with 4, right? So the size is 5 means the index, the last index will end with 4. So this is what you have to remember here. So let me summarize that point again. So the first index starts with 0, and last index ends at length -1. So if you are writing a loop, you have to take care of this. If you are not writing length -1, then you should give less than symbol. Then the value will stop just one element before itself at 4th. So just try to remember, this is very important. Uh, Sometimes you will write the code in the paper or notepad, right? So that time you cannot execute the code in the interview. So you have to just remember properly the syntax. So you are starting with 0, then you should end with I less than a dot length. If you are using equal to, then you should give -1 here. So don't, if you are doing this mistake, then again I am executing, so you will definitely get array index out of bound. So just take care of this. So this is about writing a normal for loop in order to traverse. So this normal for loop previously we have seen in order to traverse the elements. So here we have passed an a dot length, and values we are iterating using a of square brackets I. Whatever index you have taken, you just need to pass the index here. And there is another approach, you can retrieve the values. There is another concept called enhanced for loop. So enhanced for loop is also called as for each loop. So each keyword we will not write anything, but this is also called as for each loop or enhanced for loop. So this is also an important thing. Here we are declaring so many variables and incrementing it and again traversing, right? So in enhanced for loop, it will be more efficient of writing the code. So just you need to write the for, and then you have to give this variable I, right, and then give colon. After that you have to pass the variable of array. There is no need of writing the I++. There is no need of writing any condition. You no need to declare any variable. You just need to declare a variable definitely, but no need to give the value as equal to 0, and no need to give any condition, no need to give any I++. This is called as enhanced for loop. This is a more efficient way of writing the code. Not only for arrays, even in future we will learn about Java collections. At that time also, array list and other collections you can navigate using this enhanced for loop. So this is more efficient, and how exactly it will work. So in the print statement, I need to pass the variable I here. So instead of I, let me take like some other variable. For since I have already taken I here, you may get confused. So I am taking here, suppose x. X is a variable, and that I am printing. So what exactly happens, right? So every iteration, so imagine in the background how it works. So the first variable is the a of 0 is having 10. So the 10 will be printed in the first iteration. Like this print statement will take care of printing for the first index, and automatically it will increment. So this increment will happen in the background, no need of us doing explicitly. It will happen, and it will navigate, and then it will again take the value of 20 then 30, then 40, then 50. So this is the advantage of using an enhanced for loop. So the normal for loop code, let me comment out. Since we already learned about it, I am just commenting that. So the normal for loop code is commented. Now let's execute this enhanced for loop. So the enhanced for loop, so this is the length of the, it is saying the length, right? So, and then the values are printing. You can see that total 5 values we are having, all the 5 values are printed correctly. So this is the syntax for using enhanced for loop, and this is also like writing more efficient. It is more efficient. Here you see the index we are declaring, we are giving a condition, we are also incrementing it. So this can be avoided in case of enhanced for loop. Now let's go through the topic of this two-dimensional array. So first of all, the single dimensional array, the topics are completed. So we have learned about approach 1 of creating the variables, and then we also learned about approach 2, and then retrieving the values, and also for each for loop and for each loop. So all these are done. So the same way you can use the same code on approach 2 also. There is no difference. So everything is same. If I am using this code again for the second approach, let me comment out this first approach code. So for the second approach code, I am just giving this int x b, variable b we have to pass here, since the array is having the variable b, and then run as Java application. So it is printing all the values 40, 22, 43, 66. So all the values are printing, all the 10 values. So this is the examples, like basic understanding about the single dimensional array. So now let's go through the two-dimensional arrays. So how can you declare a two-dimensional arrays, and how can we retrieve the values for that? So as I explained initially, uh, so there will be rows and columns. If you start taking the, let me explain you the two-dimensional arrays. So in two-dimensional arrays, there will be both rows and columns. So if you imagine in the this image, right? So these are rows. These are all rows, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0 and 1 is the column. So this is columns, and these are the rows. So the same way, how can we declare it in terms of the programming? We have to declare it like this same way. Two approaches we can do. The first approach is using this new keyword, and second approach is using this flower brackets. So let's see both the examples. I am going to create a two-dimensional array again. So two-dimensional array. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So how can I declare the two-dimensional array? So the approach 1 is so we have to specify the square bracket 2 times. This is a two-dimensional array, right? So rows and columns are there. So you have to specify the square bracket 2 times, and then give new. If I am creating integer data type, I have to give int here, and then again give square bracket in order to specify the size. So you need to mandatorily specify the size, otherwise it is throwing an error. You see, like a variable must provide either dimensional expressions or an array initializer. So the approach one is we are going to give the new keyword, right? Then the size is required. So here I am going to give the size as 3 and uh, if in this example if you are taking 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we need to take 5 here and then give 2 here. 0 and 1 is there. So 0 and 1 is 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 to 4 is 5. So this is the way we can declare it with the first approach. And if I am taking 5 and 10, right, totally I need to have total 10 values. So this will become little complicated. So let me take the number as 3 here. To better give a simple example, I am going to take 3 here. And in this also you imagine that we are taking only up to here. 0, 1, 2 I am taking and 0 and 1. So up to this only I am taking. So for that let me remove this and I'll write one more diagram for better understanding. So just imagine like this. So we are having index as 0, then index 1, then index 2. So these are about the rows. 0 and 1, 2 are rows here. And coming to the columns, we have to give 0 here. So here 0 is the column and here 1 is the column. So 0 and 1. So this is, you just imagine in the background this is how it will work, but in terms of coding it will be slightly different. So the first thing is, this is the declaration statement. So we are declaring the two-dimensional array with size, like with you can think like it is a length. Rows is rows 3 and columns 2. So this is the declaration statement. I am just creating a variable here. Now we have to, you see there is a warning here. So the variable, the value of local variable a is not used. We just declare it. So this is a warning. So if you are trying to assign some values and using it in anywhere, right, then this warning will be gone. Not only for this variable, any variable in programming. In the Eclipse editor, this warning will be gone. So now if we want to assign the values to each of these variables, so we are having total now 6 boxes, right? 3 rows and 2 columns. So if you want to assign the value of each of them, how can we do that? So a of 0, then 0. If we are giving like this, the first value we can assign. So I am going to assign a value of let's say 100 I am assigning for this. So then 0, 1. Square bracket 1 if I am passing. So the first row, second column. First row, second column, I am going to assign 200. Then let me assign the first. Here we are having 3 rows and 2 columns. So if I am giving here a of 0 and again 2, right, it will be index out of bound exception because the columns are only 2. That means 0 and 1. We should not give a of 0, 2 because the columns are not available. So we have only 3 rows and 2 columns. So a of 1 comma 0, like 1, a of square bracket 1 and 0, that means it is second row, first column. A of 1, then again 1. So a of 0 0 means this box will come. So a of 0 is 0 is this box, a of 0 1 is this one, a of 1 0, a of 1 1, a of 2 0, a of 2 1. So let me take 400, then a of 2 0 equal to 500, a of 2 1 equal to 600. So this is how we can declare a two-dimensional arrays. This is the first approach. So approach 1 we are giving an syntax in this way. So using a new keyword and specifying the data type, and since this is a two-dimensional array, you have to specify the size for both rows and columns. Though the first definition is about the rows, and the second square bracket denotes the columns. So first is about the rows, second is about the columns. So we have to specify both rows and columns here, and then we have to assign value for each of them. If you are using this approach, then you have to give the values individually. There is no other way you can do. So you have to either use a loop, or you can assign it in this way, line by line, like step by step also, that's fine. Or if you want to write some loops also, that is fine. You can able to assign the values in this way. So this is about the approach 1. And in this approach also there is another syntax you have to remember. So int, so I am just commenting this first one, and if you are writing square bracket before also, this is allowed. So square bracket can be placed before the variable or after the variable, anything is fine. Both are created only, like two-dimensional array will get created even if you give the square bracket before or after. And there is one more way you can do. So in terms of two-dimensional arrays, so you can give like this also, it will be allowed. So you can give the square bracket 1 before the variable and 1 before the after. All these three are possible in terms of the creating two-dimensional arrays. So even in case of single dimensional array, if while I am creating, right, so this syntax you can also do the other way. Just for your information, I am saying this. So in any example you are seeing in any website or anywhere in future, they can declare this way also. This is allowed or this is allowed. Both ways it is allowed. And if you are executing, if you are not getting any error, right, that means that that is allowed. So here I have declared like this. Um, so there is no error. So let me go to the two-dimensional array, and so if you take one of the approach, any approach is totally fine. So let me comment out this third approach, and let's stick to the first approach. But if you are practicing, you can also practice with the other two ways. It is totally fine. So now we have created an two-dimensional array and assigned some values to that two-dimensional array. Now let's try to find the size of the length of these arrays. So how can we find the length? So if you observe here, there are two lengths, right? One is the row length and one is the column length. If I go back to the image also, you see there is a row length here, there is a column length here. So you have to write a syntax such a way that you are getting the length of the rows and columns. So if I am giving a dot length here, let me give dot length. So this will give the row length. For row length, you don't need to specify any index or anything. Directly, if you are giving a dot length, that will give the row length of the two-dimensional array. So let me print this one and pass a dot length. So this is the syntax for printing the like three we have declared. So this is about row length. And coming to the column length, how can you specify? So you have to specify the row number. If suppose I want to get the column count of row 1, all the rows are having same count, but you have to specify at least one of the row count to get the column count. So that how can you specify a of 0 dot length. So let me print this statement and a of 0 dot length. This is how you can get the column count. So this is column length. If I am executing, 3 and 2 should be printed on the console. So 2 is coming. Even if you pass a of 1, that is totally fine. A of 0 or a of 1 also, it is totally fine. So we are having totally 2 columns, 3 rows. So even if you give a of 2 of length also, it is fine. So you can give any row count dot length, that will give the column count. So for two-dimensional array, finding the length is this approach, finding the length. The index start with 0, same concept is applicable. So index start with 0, index end with the length minus 1. So this is very important in arrays, you have to remember it. So in any programming language, generally the index start with 0 and index end with length minus 1. Now let's learn about the approach 2. How can you declare the variables, two-dimensional variables using the approach 2? So in approach 2, let me create a variable b and give the square box like the square brackets twice. And then here again we have to follow the same syntax which we followed in the single dimensional array. So here what we have done, we have enclosed the values inside a flower brackets, curly brackets. So we have to declare a curly bracket like this. Inside what we have to write, now this is a two-dimensional. We cannot specify values like this directly. It will throw an error. You see, type mismatch cannot convert integer value to integer array. Here I have told that you create an two-dimensional array. So if I am passing this one, right, this number 1 will be treated like a one array, but it is not an array. So if you need to pass a two-dimensional array, you have to again enclose it with flower braces. So 1 comma 2 comma 3. So each row we are having only 2 columns. So this is denoted with the row. So you have to give only 2 values here. Sorry, I think I am mixing this example. So here you can give any length. This is approach 2, right? So you can give any length here. So let me take the length as 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. And then this flower bracket we have to end with, like after this you have to give a separator comma, and then again you can specify again 5 indexes, like if I can give 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma 8 comma 9, like this you can specify in the approach to during the declaration statement you can specify without giving any size. If you already know all the values, you can use the approach to just mention the elements and do not need to specify any size. So I'm going to give like this. So 44, 55. So there is no error for this. So local variable is not used. This is a warning, and this is how you can declare a two-dimensional array. So this way, if you are feeling it is confusing, right? So you can also use an enter here. So every row is coming in a new line. So this way you can understand it better. So this is the declaring statement. And you are also assigning the values. So you are not specifying any new keyword like in the first approach. So here the size is already created and the memory is allocated to that. Now size of the, like the length of the values we have already seen. Now we have to learn about retrieving those values. So retrieving the values for the two-dimensional array. So how can we retrieve the values? Let's learn that. So first approach is about using normal for loop. So how we have written it for the single dimensional array, same way for the two dimensional array also we can use a normal for loop in order to retrieve the value. So first of all learn that. Let's learn that. So let's write an one for loop to navigate through the rows. So I am going to take I equal to 0, then I less than. So I am going to take this particular array. You can take this array or this array, anything is fine. So I am going to take this array. So b dot length I need to specify. So this is for the rows I plus plus. So this will help us to navigate through the rows of the array. Now we have to write a inner for loop. Why? Because we have only traversed through the rows only. But if you don't traverse through the columns, we cannot pick all the values and print it on the console. Or if you want to use it in programming also, that's not possible. So you have to write an inner for loop to navigate through the columns. So only rows we have retrieved now. But you have to pick each and every column value. Then you need to write a inner for loop. So for the inner for loop, again I am starting int j equal to 0, j less than. So in this case, we have to write b of I dot length. So this I have given an example previously. So you have to get the column length, then you need to specify the array value, then give the square bracket and then pass the row number. So here we are traversing through the rows. So rows are denoted with I. So that I need to pass here b dot I dot length. Then only this column count I can able to retrieve. So then j plus plus. Now we can write inside this two for loops for retrieving the values. So let's write some code. So I am going to give a print statement, and inside the print statement what I have to write, the array name is b here, the variable name. So b of I j. So I denotes the rows and j denotes the columns. So the values will be retrieved now and it will get printed on the console. Now this finding the length I am commenting out for time being. Otherwise it will overlap with all the code that we are writing now. So finding the length print statements I have commented out, and let's print this on the console. So every value is printed one after the another. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 5 twice there. So I can give 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me execute one more time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the third row is having 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. So if you want to better view these things, you can also do one more way. So instead of print ln, so previously print ln is there. Remove the ln, and if you execute one more time, every value will come just beside the another value. So if you want to add a space here, just give plus and give double quotes and include one space. So this plus is concatenation, and you are giving a single space. So every value will have a space. So every value after it is printed, it is having a space. and if you want to view it in a matrix format, right, rows and columns. So after printing every column, like one of the row you are printing all the columns, right, then you have to print an new line. So this system.out.println, what it will do, it will print a new line. So if you are not passing anything inside, what it will do, it will just print a new line, that's it. So if I am running this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 22 33 44 55. So this is how, this is the syntax for uh, writing a normal for loop. So the same code you can apply for the variable, like approach one also, whatever values are there, you can print on the console. So let me copy this, and if I am writing for this here for the array A, so here A I need to give A and A of I comma j. So if I am executing this, so let me comment out the second loop. So just let's comment out this one, and I'll execute the first array. Run as Java application. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So all these values are printed. So we are having 3 rows, 2 columns. 3 rows, 2 columns. So in this case, we are having 3 rows and 5 columns. So rows are 3 and columns are 5. So this is about retrieving the values using a normal for loop. Now we have to also learn about the enhanced for loop. So how can I write an enhanced for loop? So first of all, I'll comment out this code. So we already learned the normal for loop. So this is a normal for loop. Now I am going to write a enhanced for loop. So now let's take this particular array, and we have to write an enhanced for loop. So in enhanced for loop, it is also called as for each loop. The syntax for that is, first of all, you have to write a for loop. Inside for loop, you have to write one more for loop. So the code that you are writing will be inside that both for loop. So first for loop, what you have to write, you have to traverse through the rows of the array, and in the second case you have to traverse through the columns of the arrays. So if you want to traverse through the rows of the arrays, you have to specify, I am taking a variable called x here, and we have to specify the syntax in this way. Suppose B is the array here, 2-dimensional array. So that B we have to specify after the colon. It is the same way as we are writing in the single dimensional array. So this is an example for single dimensional array. So here what we have written, only single for loop, we have specified int x colon B. So in 2-dimensional array, every row is having multiple values. So that is the reason I am specifying here as an array. So every row is having multiple values. You see here multiple values are there. So this denotes an one array, right? This is one array, this is second array, this is third array. So we have to specify in the first for loop x rows, and in the second for loop I have to give int y colon x. So this x is an array now, and this array I am passing in the second for loop, and I am navigating. So for navigating purpose, this is the syntax. So in the first place we are navigating through the rows, and second we are navigating through the columns. So this is the syntax we have to write. So why I am giving x square bracket? Why? Because every row is having multiple values. So when we have multiple values in single dimensional array, how we are writing? We are giving a square bracket, right? Same logic applies in this example. So X square bracket denotes that the row is having multiple values. And B here I need to just give the variable name, that's it. No need to give the square bracket in the for loop. You just need to give B here, and inside the inner for loop you are giving Y here for the column retrieval, and just give the X variable which is the having the row values, like the row values. And let's give the variable Y here. You just need to give Y, that's it. Now the printing will happen on the console. So here again the everything is printed on the new line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. If you want to get it printed on a different lines, then you have to also give like this. So just append it within space, single space I have given, and outer for loop I am going to give one new line character. So system.out.println will print a new line. Run as Java application. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is printed, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. So this is how we can retrieve the values from an array, and here we are always storing the same kind of data type. So uh, like different data types cannot be stored if you are using the integer data type. So there is another way you can also declare and create, like I will give you one more example now. So for different data types, let's see. In Java there is an data type, like this is not a data type but this is a class called object. So using an object you can able to like obj, if I am specifying here, then inside flower bracket I am going to give the data type with multiple values. So why I am using object I will tell. So let's say that I am giving 250, then if I am giving 45.21, so this is an integer value, this is an floating point value, and if I am giving a character, right? So and then we can also specify an string, and also we are specifying a boolean value. So if you are want to specify different values in terms of the programming, you cannot use an integer data type here. Suppose if I am giving int here and I am trying to assign all the different data types, this is not allowed. So if instead of giving int here you have to give object. So object is an if you keep the cursor here it will say java.lang.object. Object is the, like object is a class in Java, and it is the root of all class hierarchy. So it is like a parent class for all the objects. It's like you can declare it either with any data type, like there is no specific data type it will have. So it can be used to assign it to any data type, either it is integer or floating point value, any primitive data type or any user defined data type. If you want to assign a class variable also, like everything can be possible in terms of if you are using an object. So this is how you can able to give the different data types values. So this is how you can declare, and you can also print these values on the console using a loop. So we generally don't use like this in anywhere. Generally we don't need to use, but in case in the future anytime you want to use it, this is also possible and allowed. But you should not give anything like you should not give float or int. It's not allowed. If you are giving float here and if you are giving different values, a compiler will throw an error. So type mismatch, cannot convert from float to double, cannot convert from string to float, cannot convert from boolean to float. So this boolean cannot be mapped to float. So you have to give object. So this is how you can create arrays, and I have given few examples around this. So there are more examples. Tomorrow we will see more examples around the arrays and uh, so this single dimensional array. So even I can show you like a small example on reversing an array. So let me take another 10 minutes. We'll continue and then have a Q&A session. So let me close all this. So I'm just closing it and I'm going to give one small example. So tomorrow we'll see more examples around this. So let's take a reverse. Reverse of an array. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So I'm going to declare an array now. So int. So any array name we can specify and then let me give like 31, 25, 43. So some array I have taken with multiple values of integer data type. And what is my goal? I want to reverse this array and I want to store it in another array. So for that reason, what I will do, I will take another array, and in this array, what I will do, new int. So the first array I have declared and assigned some values already, and in the second array, what I have taken a variable, and I have just given as a new int, and I don't know the length, right? So I want to store the reverse of this particular array, this first array. So this is the first array. Like this is the input array you can think of, and we want to reverse the array and store it into this. So in this new array, this reverse values will get stored, and it will be, we will also try to print it later. So first of all, understand this. So what I have done initially, I have given this and given all the values. In the second step, I have given new int, and whatever length of the first array, since I am reversing the same array, the length will be same. So that is the reason I am passing here. So you no need to specify 5 or 6, that is not efficient coding. So you have to specify array dot length, arr dot length. Now if I want to reverse it, right? So let me take another variable. So why I am taking that, I will say. So I am going to take a for loop. So int I equal to 0. Instead of 0, what I will do, arr dot length minus 1. So if I need to access the value 97, what I should do, arr dot length minus 1 I need to give. Then I greater than or equal to 0, I minus minus. So I'm starting from the last index now. When I'm navigating through this array, I am starting with the last index and then navigating through the first index. So here in this reverse array, right? So at the first position, what I will do, I will store the last value. So rev of index equal to arr of I. Here what exactly happening? So arr of I is what? Array of length dot minus 1. Arr dot length minus 1. So 97 value is there at the first position. So 97 is coming here, and rev of index, why I am taking an index variable here, so that I can able to navigate through all these values, like all the memory positions in the reverse variable, and assign the values in the reverse order. So here we are traversing in the reverse, but here we have to traverse in the from the starting position. So I am taking a 0 here, and at the 0th index of the reverse, we are storing the last index of the first input array. So we have to do one more step, index plus plus. So here you can write index plus plus, or this index plus plus you can also give here also. Here you can specify one comma and give index plus plus. Either you can give here or you can specify inside also, that is totally fine. So in the increment or decrement position you can give multiple also. You can give comma separator here, and you can also specify it like this. So let's see whether it will work or not. And we have to also print this reverse variable values. So int x equal to 0, x less than rev dot length. So I am trying to print these values which are inside the reverse of x. So first of all I have reversed it and I am printing this. So let's see if this works or not. So now 97 is inside the REV, right? 97 is there, then 78, 11, 43, 25, 31. So we have reversed this. If you want to see it better, you can do one more thing. Remove this ln and here give plus and give double quotes and give one space. So everything will get printed in the same line. So this code has achieved the reverse, right? So how it has achieved 97 at the first position. For the input array, it is at the last position. 78 at the second position, and it is at the last but one position. Then 11, 43, 25, 31. So the reversed goal we have achieved. So this is one program you can use to reverse an array. Using an another array, you are reversing the variables. So this is about one topic, and there is another small topic. Suppose if I don't want to use this for loop, right? Let me comment out this for loop, and there is another way you can also print the values on the console. Arrays dot toString. This is an inbuilt method in programming. So since our values are integer, I am taking toString of integer. Click on enter, and here you can specify either ARR, and this one I need to actually print inside an print statement, otherwise I cannot view it. So this arrays is an inbuilt method, like inbuilt class. You see it is inside the java.util. If I remove this import statement, it is imported automatically whenever I clicked on that enter key. So the error is coming, right? So keep the cursor on this arrays and click on this import statement. Then this import will come at the top. So now if I'm printing this, so let's see if it would print or not. So 31, 25, so the input array is printed. So I am giving an double quotes and saying that input array, and the same way let me print the output array. So the output array is arrays dot toString of rev. So the input array is printed and the output array is printed. So we are using an inbuilt method. Instead of writing a for loop or for each loop, we can also use this inbuilt method in order to achieve the arrays. So sometimes maybe people don't allow you to in the interview to use inbuilt methods. So using arrays, you can also, like this arrays inbuilt method, there is a possibility to also do arrays dot sort option is also there. You can sort it. You can also do like binary search. So there are many methods. So binary search is there, and if you put dot, all the methods will list. So binary search, compare, copy of, equals. So there are many methods, but this sort method also you can use to sort an array. Suppose I am passing ARR, this step will do what it will do, right? So it will sort the values in the memory for the ARR array. But when they ask you to write some code, you have to write a different logic. Maybe the sorting program we will see tomorrow. So if they are asking you in interview about sorting an array, you should not use like this. Maybe if they are allowing you to use inbuilt methods, that is fine. But if they are asking you to write a custom code, right, then you should not use this, and you should write some for loops, right? Two for loops you have to write, and there are different sorting algorithms, uh, like bubble sort, match sort, quick sort, like 5 to 6 categories of sorting techniques are there. At least you should learn one of the sorting techniques, like bubble sort is an easy sorting technique that we will try to see tomorrow. But this method is also possible. So if I'm using this method and then I'm printing on the console, right? If I'm printing on the console like AR, if we are directly printing this array, what will happen? Like ARR, if I'm directly giving, right? Let me comment out this 27 and 28. And if I'm printing on the console, you see. So some junk characters are coming if you're directly printing on the console. Let me comment out the sort also. Let's execute one more time. If you are directly printing an array using a system.out.println, some memory location address or hash code will get printed. Like it is an junk, like it will, for visibility purpose, it look like a junk character, but it is like some value in terms of the Java memory. So it is not helpful for anything. So you have to use arrays method, like this arrays class, which is inside this Java util. So use this arrays dot toString method you have to use in order to convert this arrays into the string, and then you have to use here. If you are directly using ARR, then in the console nothing will print. So some junk characters will print. This is some hash code or some memory address. This is not helpful for anybody. Like it's not helpful for viewing or anything. So instead of ARR, what you have to do? Arrays dot toString is a method. Inside the toString, you have to pass the array variable name. So this is how this will help to convert this array into a string format that will be printed here. So this is how it will get printed. Now if I am sorting, arrays.sort. So all the values are sorted now. This is using inbuilt method. This is an inbuilt method. So 11, 25, 31, 43, 78, 97. So input is different. But after sorting, all the variable values are changed in the memory itself. So the memory will be manipulated, and all the values will get sorted in the memory. And if I'm printing that value in the console, so the sorting happened, right? So you can use even the inbuilt method if there is no requirement for you, like in your company also, when you are writing or manipulating the arrays in any automation project, you can use this arrays inbuilt method only for interview purpose. Maybe this they will expect some code. You can ask the interviewer, can I use the inbuilt method, or if they give some other problem which need a sorting, right? So at that time you can use this inbuilt method, and your goal is to solve some other problem, then you should not waste time in writing the sorting code. So that time you should check with them, and can I use the inbuilt method, and then the other logic whatever you are trying based on the question you have to solve. So you can use this as required. In your automation project you can directly use it. So this is an inbuilt method, so don't need to waste time in writing extra code, and that may not be very efficient way of writing code. So this is like basic syntax, and like reversing the array also we have seen. So the reversed values also we have already printed here, right? So let me uncomment these lines, and if I am executing one more time, so this is the input array, this is the output reversed array, this is the sorted array. So we have seen how to reverse this problem. This program maybe somebody can ask, and this is about using the inbuilt methods. Welcome to the day 9 of Core Java. So today we will focus mainly on working with the arrays. Few programs we will see. And arrays is also an important topic in terms of the programming and also in terms of the interview perspective also. If you are targeting any kind of company, they can ask at least one program in arrays. So you should definitely practice some programs in arrays, at least 20 to 30 programs. If you can practice like 50, like there can be like different questions they can ask. So every question we cannot expect or we cannot practice. So try to build the logic and how to iterate the loops and how can you search the elements. So all these things you have to think, and that's how you can manipulate these arrays. So in today's arrays problems, we will see like searching an element in an array. So suppose an array is having 5 or 10 elements. So if you want to search an element in an array, suppose there are elements like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 in an array, and you want to search an element called 30. Whether that element is there in the array or not, you need to search. So how can we write a code? And if we have another element like 70 or 80 which is not in the array, so how can I search it? So searching is one of the topic, searching an element. And then there is another topic called sorting an array. So these are these are also called in general, like there are multiple algorithms to solve these problems. So searching an element, we have some algorithms like linear search, and there are also binary search, and there can be more search algorithms, but these are the more popular searching algorithms: linear search and binary search. And coming to the sorting algorithms, we already seen about this arrays.sort method, which will take the arrays variable. This is the inbuilt code. So if I am writing this, so this is an inbuilt code. In your day-to-day automation work or anywhere, you can always use this. But in the interview, if you are solving some other problem and you need a sorted array, right, then you can use this method. You can check with the interviewer if you can use, and don't struggle with the array sorting method. And like if your solution is finding something else, you should not focus much on writing the code for sorting. So but if your question itself is like write a sorting algorithm, any one of the algorithm they asked, right, then you should write your custom code. Like you should not use an inbuilt method. So the custom code we can write in multiple ways. So there is bubble sort algorithm. um, there are many algorithms, so just I am listing out some of them which I have gone through previously. So insertion sort, selection sort, and match sort. Even there are many more, but these are some of the sorting algorithms which are frequently encountered in the internet. If you search for sorting algorithms, so in any programming language you can implement this. So algorithm, in the sense, the algorithm will have some steps and some logic that is defined for these algorithms. So that's how they will work. If you are an absolute beginner, don't focus on all these algorithms. First of all, practice this. Practice and declare an basic array, and use the inbuilt sorting. And today we will see also the bubble sort algorithm. So all the other algorithms you can slowly check. Like every algorithm, you don't watch any videos at a times at once, so it will be confusing. So first learn the bubble sort algorithm. It is very easy, like very simple to understand. After that, you can pick at least one of these algorithm every week, and then practice the code. Slowly you can practice and write. There are many blogs and videos available, but mainly we will focus on bubble sort today. And in terms of this algorithm, there are few more. Any algorithm in general, there are topics like time complexity and space complexity. So like if you are writing some code in general in programming, like how efficient is the code, and how much time it will take and how much memory it will take, right? Space means memory, and the time is the how many iterations it will take. If you are writing a for loop, it will take some iterations, right? So These topics also little advanced. As a beginner, you don't need to know. So every company will not ask this. But if you are targeting a product-based company, very good company, right? So then you need to put more effort. So bubble sort we will learn today. We will learn the linear search algorithm today. This inbuilt algorithm already I showed you yesterday. Today also I'll show you one more time. So for interview perspective, you learn at least one of these algorithms. At least you should know bubble sort, which I will tell today. But all the other algorithms you don't need to learn if you are not targeting product based companies, like very good product based companies. But you can target them in future slowly. In the next 1 month, first of all, learn all the basics of whatever I am teaching in the core Java and OOPS concepts and everything. So now let's get started with writing some programs on the searching and sorting algorithms. So I'll get started with the linear search program. So first of all, let me take one array, like I'll explain it how the logic works exactly. So let's take an array like this. So the array is having some elements. So let's think that it is having like 5 or 7 elements. So I am taking an integer array. So in this integer array, I'm storing, let's take like I'm storing 100, 100, then 200. Then I'm also storing 300, 400, 500, 600. Like this, there are some elements. So the number, the value of this element doesn't matter here. So for the searching, what exactly you have to think, right? I am taking one number here. So let's say like the number is I'm taking number 600. So any number, like the number can be within the this array, or it may not be within the array. So in this case, the 600 is within the array. So the how the searching works, right? So this is an array and it will start with 0. So the index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, 4, 5, 6. So total we have 7 elements. 100, 200, 300, up to 7 elements. The index will start with 0 in arrays and index will end with 6. So we need to iterate this particular array starting with the 0th index. So we should start with 0 and then iterate every element and then compare the value of this element with the number. So we are having a number, you can store in a variable, any variable name. So number or key, any variable you can declare. And you start comparing this using an if condition, and whenever the element is found, then you need to say that the element is found and break out of that loop. This array can have duplicates also. Suppose the 600 is there 2-3 times. This linear search, the main goal is that you are searching whether the element is present in the array or not. You should not worry about the duplicates and other things. Here the main goal is you should navigate through all the elements in this array and find out whether the element is there or not. If you are just comparing the index one, and you should not exit the entire loop. If the element is not at the first location, you should iterate and go to the second element, third element, so fourth element. So even if you are building some, writing some logic now, and during the interviews also, if you are writing some logic, you should be able to explain this logic to the interviewer. So they try to understand what logic you are explaining, right? So the logic you need to explain. Syntax, if there is some mistakes, that is totally fine. So now let's start writing some program. I'll create a day9 package. Let's create a package day9. And the class name I will write linear search in arrays. In array, select public static void main and then click on finish. So here on a high level I explained in the this diagram, but in the program let's understand slowly like how can we build a logic for this linear search. So first of all I am declaring a variable here, array variable, and I am assigning this multiple values, any values. It can be like any integer values you can declare here. Like I am declaring values like this, any random values. You don't need to have sorted array. It's not, there is no requirement like it should be sorted. You can declare any values like this randomly. Some values I am declaring and assigning to this array. So this is the declaration and assignment. Everything happening in the same line number 7. Now I am going to take one number. That number is, let me take the number is 11. So number is 11. I want to find whether the number 11 is present or not. So the number 11 can be present once or twice. First of all, let's take only once, and let's build a program. If you have twice also, whenever the first instant the element is found, it will say that the element is found and exit that loop. That's how we will write a code now. So this is about linear search. You are searching the element by navigating through every index. So you start with 0 index, first index. Every index you are navigating the element and validating whether that element is there or not. So we are going to write some if condition here. So first of all, let's write an normal for loop to iterate this array. So how we learned yesterday, int I equal to 0, then I less than a dot length. So the a dot length, it will since it started with 0, right, the index. So array index start with 0, so the last index will be length minus 1. So if I am giving equal to here, I less than or equal to, then you should give minus 1 here. And if you are giving only less than, no need of giving minus 1. So up to minus 1, this I will iterate and it will stop. So this is important point you need to remember while iterating the loops. Now for loop is done, so I am able to iterate all these elements. So inside what I should write, I should compare this variable with these values. So every index, if I need to compare, then I need to write an if condition. So how to write an if condition? If I know the if I have to retrieve the value of the every index, right? So the first index a of 0, how can I retrieve a of I if I give the first index value? So similarly, a of 1, a of 2, every iteration it will be iterating. And then we have to give double equal to here. Why double equal to? Because we are trying to compare it. So this is a comparison step. If you are giving single equal to, it is assignment, but we are here comparing, and this expression will be giving true or false. If it is true, this this block of code will execute. If it is false, this block of code will not execute. So if this element is present inside this array, then inside what we have to write, I am going to write a print statement, system.out.println, like the element or the number, you can say. Number is found in the array. And after the number is found, what we have to do, we need to break out of this for loop. So this, what this break statement will do, this will break the for loop. It will not be considering this if condition. If condition is just executing only once, but the for loop is executing for multiple iterations. So this break will break this loop, and the control will come to the line number 18. If you remember the conditional statements we discussed about this. So the whenever the element is found, this value will be printed, like the text is printed on the console, and the loop will break and it will come out of the loop. So if the element is not found, then we have to print some text, right, on the console, like the number is not found in the array. So this is not a correct logic, but just I am explaining you, when an element is found, it is breaking the loop, and this statement will always execute. If you observe, after the control comes to line number 18, every time this code will execute saying that the number is not found in the array, but already the number is found, right? uh, then we need to write an additional step here to validate whether the element is really found or not. So for that, what I will do, I will take an boolean variable, boolean status equal to, initially I will consider that the element is not present. So the status, any variable name you can give here, like boolean, bool, or b, or status, anything. Initially this will say that the what is the false means here. False means the number is not found. So I am thinking that number is not present, and if it is returning true, right, then the number is found in the array. So I am taking the value as false. That means that the number is not already available in the array. Number is found in the array. So since I have taken false, initially it will the program will think that the variable is not present in the array, like the number. So if the variable is found here, then the status value I need to update. Status equal to true. Whenever the element is found, you have to update the status. Otherwise, this print statement will always execute. So we should write a condition for this print statement one more time. So before that, first of all, declare a variable saying that we don't have any element, so we are taking false. Whenever the element is found, you have to give the status value equal to true. So the status value will get updated, and then the loop will be broken, and the loop will come out of this, and the control will be at line number 22. Now what I have to do, so if status equal to false, when it is false only the element is not in the array. If it is true, then the element is in the array. So this condition will execute only when the element is not in the array, not when it is already present. We should not say that it is not present, right? So we should execute this when the entire for loop is executed and we did not find any number in the array. Then we should print this statement. So let's try to execute this code. Now the number 11 we have taken, and in this array 11 is already there. So if you are executing this code, let's see what the output will come. So number is found in the array. Why? Because number 11 is already present in the array. Now let me take, I will take a different number, triple one I am taking. So number is not found in the array. Why? Because it will iterate through every index of this loop. A of I, every time it will iterate and compare. So every time this if condition will be failed, it will come out of this, and the status initially we have taken as false. The status will be false finally also once the code is executed. So this number is not found message is printed on the console. Even if you have 11 here one more time, and I am taking 11 at the different indexes. So 11 is there 2 times now. Even then, when the first instance of this element is found, the message will print and the loop will be broken. So number is found in the array. Whenever this first time 11 is found, the code will print on the console like number is found in the array, and the loop will get broken. So this is a simple, like linear search is very simple algorithm. You have to just take a array, and then whatever number you are trying to search, you take it in a variable. And the status why we are taking, we are just printing some message on the console. That's the reason we need to take the status. Initially we think that the number is not in the array, and inside the if condition, whenever a element is found, the number, it is saying that the number is found in the array and the status is true, and we are breaking out of this loop. And this for loop is for iterating through the every element of the array. Now the same logic, this is normal for loop. So you can also write the same code using the enhanced for loop also. If I am commenting out this code, so So let me comment out this code, and if I am writing an enhanced for loop, so so I will take some variable like x, and array is a, right? So x a, sorry, control Z. So enhanced for loop, no need of using any conditions or anything, no increment, nothing. We have to just declare a variable and put colon here and pass the array. So array is having now five, how many elements here? Around 10 elements are there. So every element it will navigate, and this code will execute for 10 times for every element. Now inside we have to write the same logic. So this logic, let's copy, and I'm going to paste here, and we should not give a of I here, we should give x. So every iteration, the value of the every index is stored in the x from the array. Every element will be mapped to the x, and the iterating will continue. So this is the logic for enhanced for loop. So the same logic works. Number 11 I have taken. So let me take number 88, and I will run it for enhanced for loop. So number 88 is found in the array. Now if I take 888, which is not in the array, so number is not found in the array. This way, like linear search is searching for the element in a linear manner. So you are navigating through all the elements, and like this is like traversing through all the elements, and then checking whether the element is there or not. So you are using the entire loop and checking for every element. So this is the logic for linear search algorithm. So you can practice this one more time to understand this one better. Now let's take one more example. So this linear search I am going to close. So we have seen linear search program to search for a number in an array. So this is one program. The second program we are going to check count the duplicate duplicates of an given number in an array. Suppose we are having some array, whatever we are using now. So whatever array is there, so in that array I'm taking one number, and we need to check how many times that number is available in this array. So this is one of the basic program. So let's write a logic, then understand this. So I'm going to create a new class. Find duplicate count of number in array. So any name we can give for the class, and click on finish. So let me close this console, and let's write a logic for this. First of all, I need to declare an array. So any array, and any values you can assign. There is no requirement that this is the exact array you need to declare. So any random values you can take like this. So 10, 50, 60, 20, 15. So I'm taking an array like this. Now I'm taking one more number which we need to count. So in this there is no duplicate values. So let me insert some duplicates. So number, let's take like number 10 I want to count. So I'm going to insert number 10 for 3 times, and 15 I am giving. So 15 is there 2 times, and number 10 is there 3 times. So the number I am taking is 10, which I want to count the number of duplicate values. And initially I am going to take the count variable and assign it with 0. So initially the value is 0, and let's iterate using an enhanced for loop I am going to use now. So I am going to take x, and a is the array. So A is the array and X is the variable which will navigate through this for loop. So if condition what I need to write, so the number I have taken, right, number double equal to X. So if both the values are equal, then what I have to do, I have to do count plus plus. So apart from this, there is no other code we need to write. We need to navigate through this loop, and whenever an element is found, which is matching this value which is inside the array. So number 10 is there. I am comparing with the first position, second position, third position, like this. If you are navigating or traversing, we can say. So traversing all these elements in the array. So if anything is found, we have to increment the count value. Initially I have taken 0. So if anything is present, it will count plus plus. Otherwise nothing will happen. This if condition will not execute. So this is the comparison step. So it will compare for all the values and try to increment it. So finally what I should write, I should print the count value. If I'm executing this, so the output will be 3 here. So 10 is repeated 3 times. 10, 10, 10. So 10 is there 3 times. If I'm taking instead of 10 here 15, let me take 15. So 15 is there 2 times. And if I'm taking, let's say the number is 33. So 33 is there only once. So accordingly, whatever number you are passing, accordingly the output should be coming. So number 60 is there only once. So let me go back to number 10 and it should come 3 times. So this is a basic simple logic. You have to just iterate the loop and then use a comparison statement and increment the value. So initially you have to declare a variable with number 0. You should initialize here, and then if you are incrementing, and then finally you are printing the value. So this is another basic program to check the number of like number of repetitions or number of duplicate count of a given number. Whatever number is there, that you are trying to check the count in the given array. So this is another basic program. So so the second program is checking the duplicates or repetitions. So the number of repetitions of a given number in an array. You can say as duplicates or repetitions, that is fine. So repetitions. Okay. So the third topic we will discuss today, it is about the inbuilt programming. Inbuilt programming methods of arrays. So yesterday I have already shown some examples. Today we will see more examples on the inbuilt methods. Let me create a new class. So using inbuilt methods, I will create a class. So using inbuilt methods for array. You can give any name. I am giving using inbuilt methods for array. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So previously I have showed you some examples on arrays.toStrings, arrays.sort, like these methods which are inbuilt methods. So the same example we will use for different methods today. Like different data types also we will try to see. So first of all, let me declare an integer array, and then I am going to declare some values inside that. 20, 30. Then I am going to give 11, 23, 44, then 32, 50. Any values like this randomly I am giving, which are not in the same order. These are not in the ascending or descending. This is not a sorted array. This is an unsorted array. And if I need to print this on the console, so how can I print it? So just I need to write arrays dot toString of pass the array. So let me print on the console first. Run as Java application. So all these values are printed on the console. So this is an inbuilt method. If you want to print this array on the console, either you can use a for loop or you need to use this arrays.toString. There is no other way. Directly you cannot use this ARR variable. It will not work. So if you want to try it out, let me put ARR here. Yesterday also I showed you this one. So if you are directly giving the array variable in the print statement, it will not work. If you are giving ARR of 0, like one of the index if you are giving, it will work. Run as Java application. So one index it will work. You can pass ARR of 5 also. Any index, any specific index, it will definitely work. But if you are passing the whole array, right, it will not print directly on the console. So this is how the programming they have built the logic in Java. So directly you cannot print. So there is an inbuilt method for that. So you have to use arrays.toString, and that toString method will convert the array into an string variable, and it will use a comma separator and give it in a square bracket. So this is an inbuilt method. We are not doing anything. So if you observe here, there is an import statement also. Import Java util arrays. So if I am deleting this and again seeing that there is an error, so keep the cursor on these arrays and there is an import statement. You have to click on it. Only when the import statement is there, this method will work. This is an inbuilt package, inbuilt class, and java.util is an inbuilt package. During the package class, initial classes, I have told about the inbuilt and user defined packages. So day9 is an user defined package. Java.util is an inbuilt package. So the arrays class is available inside this. This is an inbuilt methods, toString method. There are some more methods. So first of all, I have printed these values. So suppose I want to sort the values, right? So I can use this sort method, and I can use this integer array. So the sorting will happen in the memory. So whatever the array is having certain memory in the Java memory. So Java will have a terminology like heap memory, where all the runtime variables are stored. So this array will be stored in the heap memory, and all these values are stored in the particular indices: 0th index, first index, second index. So this array dot sort, what it will do, right? It will make all these values store in the ascending order. So ascending order means from lower number to higher number. So there is only this inbuilt method can do only ascending order. It cannot do anything on descending order. So this is the another thing you have to remember. So from smaller number to larger number, it will ascending order, and it will like all the numbers will get shuffled. And if you am printing this statement one more time, then you can understand. So this print statement I am writing one more time after sorting. Run as Java application. So you see, initially it is an input array, whatever is there, it is unsorted array. So this is unsorted. Unsorted means the values are placed randomly without any as like smaller value, larger value, like that. It is random. But if you are sorting, the what is sorting? So the smaller values will be there on the left side, and the larger value will be placed on the right side. This is ascending order. From the smaller number to larger number, it will be sorted. So this is called as sorting, and you cannot use this method to create a descending order. Descending order means larger to smaller. This method cannot do. If you want to do a descending order, then you should write a custom code. So that's what I told earlier. So you should write some custom code. All these sorting algorithms you can use. So this method can do only ascending order. So this is the logic. So here, for better understanding, I will also write one more thing before sorting, and this one is after sorting. So if I execute this one more time, run as Java application. So before sorting and after sorting. So it was printing correctly. So this is about using an inbuilt method for an integer data type. Suppose I want to comment out this integer data type, and I am going to use let me create another data type like character data type. I am going to create an array. So char or char ch, like ch, you have to give the array here. So we are learning array, so let me declare an array. So how can I pass the values for the characters? So I'm going to give here something like, in a single quotes you have to pass the single character for character array. So A, Z, then B I am passing, then I am passing in single quotes like R, comma in single quotes C, and I can pass any other character. So let me take this. This is an character array which is again unsorted. That means it is not in alphabetical order. So in terms of numbers, we will think about like smaller number to larger number, but in terms of the characters, we will think about the alphabetical order in general. In backend, it will have something like ASCII values, which are helping to sort. So if I am passing the ch into this one, so this arr we should replace with ch. So this arrays method will operate on any kind of data type. It can be integers, characters, float, strings, any data type. So if I place a arrays dot, right, so it is taking input of byte, character, double, float, long, object, even object it will accept, short it will accept. So every data type it will accept. So ch I am printing initially before sorting, and then I am also sorting this array. So it will sort in alphabetical order. And after sorting, let me print this. So if I'm executing this, run as Java application. So A, Z, B, R, C, E. So A, B, C, E, R, Z. So this is an alphabetical order. In the backend, it will have, like, in the memory, it will be stored in ASCII values. So every character will have some ASCII value. But for an user, right, we are seeing these values. So for us, it will be viewable like an alphabetical order. So that's how the sorting will work for the character array. So let me take another like similar to integers, you can also declare the floating point values. So float and int are similar, only thing decimal point is additional. So now I will show you the string variables. So string, like basic example we will take. So string as a array I am taking, and I am going to pass some variable like values here. So the string, let me take some programming languages. So I'm taking Java, Python. Then we have C Sharp, C++. So like this, I am taking some programming languages in the strings, and this I am going to sort now. So this as variable name we have to pass here, s, give s, and let me sort it, arrays dot sort of s, and after sorting I am printing this value. So if I execute this code, what happens? Let's see. So the input array is having Java, Python, C Sharp, C++. So in the alphabetical order, how it will be? So first of all, A, B, C, right? C will come before C++. Then the second character P will come before S. If you think about A to Z, the alphabet, so P will come before S. So C++ is coming before, then C Sharp. Then after C, J will come. After J, P will come. So Python. So this is about sorting with you can also apply this sorting on the strings. You can apply with any data type. So if you put dot and write sort, it will list out byte, char, double, float, int, long, object, short, every data type. So we have learned about this inbuilt methods of arrays, and after this, let me close this code. Let me write one more code for printing the values in reverse order. Reverse order printing. in arrays. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So we learned about inbuilt methods in arrays. So it is arrays dot toString. We have to pass the array object, and there is another method arrays dot sort. So these two inbuilt methods we have learned. Now let's try to print the values in the reverse order for an array. Let me take an array again. So let me take ARR array, and I'm going to assign the values for this array something like any random values. Let me assign. It's like 66, 33, 22, 11. Then 10 I'm assigning, 60, 40, 70, 99. So I can take any values. So this array is declared like this. There are more than there are around 10 values in this array. Now my goal is that I want to print this in reverse order. So in the previous examples, if you are seeing, every time I'm starting the index from the 0th index, and I'm navigating and I'm incrementing, right? So but how can I print the values in the reverse order? Using an enhanced for loop, you can always write the values in the ascend, like in the forward direction only, but you cannot use like normal for loop. And we can do this in two ways. Maybe you will think like that. So using enhanced for loop also, you may think that it can be achieved, but enhanced for loop only works for forward direction. So from 0th index to the last index only it will work, but enhanced for loop will not work in the reverse direction. So if I want to print the numbers from 99, 70, 40, 60, 55 like this in reverse order, if I want to do, only the normal for loop is the only approach that we can do. Enhanced for loop is not possible, because enhanced for loop, what is the syntax? It will be directly assigning the values from this array. So every index it will start with 0 always, and it will go in the forward direction. It will not go in the reverse direction. So enhanced for loop cannot be used for reversing the values. So here one more point you have to see, like enhanced for loop will work only in forward direction for array navigation, array values navigation, something like this you can remember. Normal for loop can be used for both forward and backward directions. So anyway you can do with normal for loop. So this is very important. Maybe in future if you are trying to use this enhanced for loop for backward direction, it will not happen. So try to make some notes and remember this point. Now I want to print the values in the reverse order. So I should use an normal for loop in this case. So how can I write a normal for loop? If I am writing int I equal to 0, and I am writing some syntax, right? If I go to the linear search, so this will be starting from the first index and it will end at the last index. But I am expecting this should be starting at the last index. So what is the last index of this array? So the last index is arr dot length -1. So the arrays will start with 0. So the last index will be -1, like the length -1. This is an important thing. When you're writing, if you're not giving -1 here, it will throw array out of bound exception, array index out of bound. So if you want to avoid this exception, you have to give -1 here. This is very important. And I greater than or equal to 0. So the index will start with 0. If I'm coming from the reverse order, then the last index will be 0. So I should be having the value which is greater than or equal to 0. That is the condition. And I need to decrement the values here. So just write a print statement and pass the array of I. So it will start printing from the last index 99, 70. It will print in this reverse order. So this is a basic topic, but in order to have a better practice, I am just telling you these things again. If you are absolute beginner, you may need to know. So I am just saying this in the reverse order. How can you print some values in the arrays? So 99, 70, 40, 60. So it is printing in the reverse order. So the sorting algorithm, let's see, like I will show you some code about how can I sort the values using the bubble sort. So I'll close this console. So let's try to understand how the bubble sort algorithm normally works, how it is working. Bubble sort. So what is the actual agenda or the goal of the sorting, right? Sorting, what it will try to do, either it will try to place the values in the ascending order or it will try to do in the descending order. Ascending order means the numbers will be placed from lowest value to the highest value. It will be placed in this fashion, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So let's think like this. So from smaller number to larger number, it will be placed, means this is called as ascending order. What is descending order? From highest value to lowest value. So this is called as descending order and this is called as ascending order. Using inbuilt method, it is only possible to navigate through ascending order only. You cannot achieve the descending order using inbuilt methods. So ascending order, lowest to highest only possible with the inbuilt methods. So using inbuilt method, now let's understand what is bubble sort. So this is like basic, this is easy. So let's understand this. So let me take an array. So int, first of all, I'll explain this in the notepad and then I'll start writing code so that you can understand how the logic actually works for bubble sort. So I am taking an array. So this array, let me take some values. So I am taking values like any values I can take. So let me take like this 55, then 35, then 42, then 77. So the values are placed in a random mode. So this is an unsorted array. You can see that some values are there and again some small values, again some larger values, again some small values. So in bubble sort, what we will do, right? We will take a temporary variable. So we will take a temporary variable and every iteration what we do, we just compare the two consecutive values. Suppose we are taking the first index 10 and I am comparing with 33. So my goal is to form an ascending order. At that time what I will do, 10 I will compare with 33. So if 10 is less than 33, then I will not do anything. I will just ignore it. Then again the next iteration will continue and 10 will be compared with 9. Now 10 is greater than 9. I need to have an ascending order, right? So ascending order means the lowest value should be on the left side. So this number 9 and number 10 will be swapped using a temporary variable. So I will swap those values whenever I want an ascending order. So like this, the first index is compared with all these values. And after the first iteration, what happens? The smallest value will be placed at the first position. So all these elements are compared finally, and the smallest value, whatever is available, that will come at the first position. That is what will happen in the bubble sort in the first iteration. So the first iteration we will take this value and compare it with all the elements in the array. So the smallest value will be placed here. Now so smallest value is already here, we don't need to touch it, right? So the loop will continue again. So the loop will start again here at the second position and it will compare with all the elements at the next position. So again it will find the smallest value and it will place at the second position. So here the swapping of elements will happen. So for that, how we can write a condition? So we need to write two for loops here. The first for loop is for starting from the first index. So first index I am starting, and we have to navigate through all these elements, right? So the first index I am denoting with I, and I equal to 0, then I less than. So here the uh, last element will be in let's take arr dot length, arr dot length minus 1. So here I am giving less than symbol, so arr dot length it will be residing. Then I should give I plus plus. So this is the outer for loop. So this outer for loop, what it will do, it will navigate through all the elements within this array. So every element it will pick and it will be taking this in the outer for loop. You have to write two for loops here. First for loop is navigating through the value, and second for loop is for checking the subsequent values. So you have to write an inner for loop, and take int j equal to. So as I told, first value I am comparing with second value. So then what I should do, I should write I plus 1. So if I is 0, then the first value is compared with second value. If I is 1 here, then 33 is compared with 99, like 9. And if I is 2, then 9 is compared with 6. So if I need to compare with the next value on the right side, then I should give I plus 1. So this is the logic we have to write for bubble sort. And then j less than arr dot length, then j plus plus. So this is the logic for inner for loop. So inside condition, what exactly I am going to write? Let me write what condition. So we have to anyway use the if condition. So inside the if condition, we have to write the logic that I have told you here. So how the logic is written, I am taking a temporary variable, right? So let me take a temporary variable initially, temp equal to 0. I am just declaring it and assigning with 0 initially before the loop. And inside this condition, what I should write, if AR or ARR of like this array value of j, this j is greater than, like I should give less than. Why I am giving, I will explain. So if I am picking this ARR of A, so the first index is 10, right? So if the number 10 is greater than, like the number like 9 is the third value, let's see, like 9 is less than 10, right? Then only this condition should be satisfied. Otherwise, like the we are trying to do ascending order for now. So let's understand ascending order. So the descending order will be the just exactly opposite. So first of all, ascending order means number 9 should be placed at the first position. So 10 is there, then 10 if I am comparing with 9. So ARR of like A of I, right? ARR of I. A of I or ARR of I, whatever the variable we are taking. So this variable is being compared with the next values. So ARR of J. So 33. 33 is bigger value than 10, right? Then this will be ignored. Nothing will happen. So the J value is incremented, inner for loop, and it will come with 9. So 9 here will come. 9 is less than 10, right? So the value should be swapped here. So 9 should be placed at the first position and 10 should be placed at the third position. So for this we are using a temporary variable in order to swap the values. So how to swap the values now? So if I am taking this, let me take this inside the if condition. So first of all, let me store this temp variable, and inside the temp variable I should take the first value 10 and place it inside this temp variable. So the next step is we need to swap the values. So already I have stored this inside this temp variable, right? Now I can replace this ARR of I. So the 10th, like the first index 10 value, whatever position value is there, that I can replace it with the 9, whatever 9 is there. So 9 is present in the jth index. Now ARR of J. Here only basic swapping is happening. we are trying to take compare two variables, and whenever the value which is on the left side is big, it is a big value that is swapped with the smaller value. So after this condition, this value will be swapped to the first position. That's what will happen. So in this loop will iterate fully, and finally we have the small value number 6, right, that will be placed at the first position. So this is how this is the code. You need to practice and debug this to understand it more. So let me write this. So I will take this and let me write a code for this. So new class bubble sort public static void main, and then click on finish. So I am directly pasting this code, and first of all I have taken an unsorted array, and I have taken a temporary variable, and this outer for loop is navigating through the entire array values. So the inner for loop, what it will do, it will increment for the values which are after the index which is available here. So suppose these three elements are already done. So if the position is at 9, like second index, then it will only increment for the subsequent positions only. The previous positions it will not increment. So all subsequent positions for index I. So this loop will iterate only for the subsequent position alone. So here I have given I plus 1. So if I is 5 here, then 5 plus 1, 6. From 6th index only this will increment. And in this condition we are just swapping the values whenever the value which is on the right side is small, which is smaller than the left side value, then it is swapping. So this code will make it in an ascending order. First of all, let me execute this. So I have taken an initial value, and I am going to print it on the console. So before sorting, arrays dot toString arr. Now the same statement I am going to write after the sorting happens. So after sorting, run as Java application. So you see, the before sorting, the whatever array I have taken, that is unsorted array, and finally this logic, what it does, it places all the small values on the left side and the larger values on the right side. So this code will build an ascending order logic, and if I am just inverting this greater less than symbol to greater than, then descending order code will execute. So let me show that. So this code, let me comment, and I will write another condition, arr of j greater than arr of I. So what this code will do, this code will make the values in the descending order. Run as Java application. So you see, this is an unsorted array. The largest value came on the left side and the smallest value is on the right side. So here what exactly happening? So whenever the value which is on the initial position, if it is smaller than the this value, right, then only swapping is happening. So you can try to debug this code, you will understand better. So I explained for the ascending order, I thought it is then descending order, you always can put a breakpoint here and try to debug this code. So for the first time, if you are seeing, definitely it may be confusing. So don't worry, just you practice this 2-3 times. Every 2-3 days, once you practice it, and after 1 week again you practice, then you can remember. So only once if you are doing any coding, right, it will be confusing. So try to do practice after 1 week again and again. So write something on the pen and paper, you can take and write, so that you can remember the logic. So try to build the logic. You don't remember the exact syntax, how can I write the conditions and how can I write the logic. So try to think about it slowly. It will be, with practice it will come. So this is the main bubble sort algorithm. At least one sorting algorithm you should know if you are uh, apply after completing the arrays topic. At least one sorting algorithm you should know. The inbuilt methods are there, but if you are attending any interview and somebody is asking the write some code for sorting, right? So this bubble sort is easy. If I tell you this, all these different sorting algorithms, these are very complex. So these are not straightforward. Everything is having certain algorithm, the logic, background, everything. So quick sort and insertion sort. So in this sorting technique, some of them are efficient. So which of them, which is efficient in time complexity and which will take more less space, right? Space complexity is less memory, like memory whatever it will take. Here I'm taking a temporary variable, right? So temporary variable and I'm iterating for the entire array values. So entire array I'm iterating. So it is taking a long number, like long too many iterations. So this is the time complexity topics and space complexity topics are there. uh, like there will be some notations like o of 1, um, o of n, o of n square. There are so many logics like this. So o of log n, something like this. So these topics every interviewer will not ask. Only in product based companies they can ask. So that you can prepare later. But if you are not aware of this, that is totally fine. First of all, try to understand the bubble sort and inbuilt functions are more than enough for working inside the company. And whenever you need more sorting, you can always find out this efficient method. So one like some of them are efficient in terms of time, and some are efficient in terms of the space. Space means memory utilization. So memory utilization in the sense like how many variables you are creating during the runtime. Here I am creating a temporary variable and I am comparing these things, right? um, like this, how many variables you are creating, that also is called as space complexity. Time complexity is number of iterations. So whether it is iterating for 5 times or 10 times. So every algorithm having certain logic. So you search about it slowly, like don't take it in a one day. Every week you search for one algorithm and then you will understand. First of all, today and tomorrow you practice the bubble sort and understand this how it works. Both the ascending order and descending order, you have to practice both. So at least one sorting algorithm you should definitely know if you are attending interviews for Java automation, right? So one sorting algorithm definitely you should know. Bubble sort you can practice. So I know that some questions are coming in the chat already, previous questions. So like I will take the questions after this. So another half an hour we have some more topics on basics of arrays. So after taking all those topics, let's go through the questions. So let me close this bubble sort. I am closing the console. So as of now, we have seen we have declared an array variables and we are storing it. Like this is called as hard coding. In general, if in any programming, if you are directly giving the values to the variables, right? This is called as hard coding. Directly we are assigning the values and storing it here. Previously also we have written something like a equal to 10 or float float f equal to 4.5 f. So similar examples we have seen previously, right? So this is called as hard coding. So we are directly assigning the values in the code itself, like in the classes itself we are giving the values. That is called as hard coding. There is another way we can input the values using the console also. Like there is a class called scanner class. uh, if you already did some practice, you know about this. So today we'll see about the scanner class and how can we take some inputs. For normal integers, we will take normal integers, float, character, strings, and even for arrays also. Let's take the values from the console. So console means during the runtime we will enter the values. That value will be assigned to the array in the runtime, and accordingly the printing of the values will happen. So I am going to close this. For learning the values in the runtime, let me create a class, and I'm going to create a new class now. So reading values from keyboard or console, whatever we say, like we are going to read the values during the runtime. Select public static void main and then click on finish. So now let's see how it can be done. So if I am writing int number equal to 20, right? So this I have told you already, like this is hard coding. So we are directly assigning the values. So there is another approach we can do using the scanner class. So that how can we write? So we have to write something like scanner, and we need to declare a variable here, and there is a syntax for creating variables in for a classes. So in classes and objects topic, which will happen after 2 sessions, I will explain in detail, but today you understand that if you need to create a variable similar to the arrays, right, you have to use a new keyword and then again use the scanner. Whatever keyword I have used on the left side, same keyword you use here, and inside the scanner I have to pass something called system.in. So I'm taking the value from the input stream, right, console. So I'm taking the input from the system that I'm assigning to this variable. So this is the syntax for declaring a variable if you want to take the input from the console. Console means the runtime whenever we are taking the values. So this is the syntax to declare an object, and keep the cursor on this, do the import. So the scanner is available in java.util package. So this is the syntax for declaring a variable. So just remember this for today, like how to declare this variable. During the classes and objects, you will learn more about what is class, what is object. But for today, it is like we have to create a scanner on the left side, create a variable name equal to new, and give the scanner class. So this is a scanner class, and you need to pass an input like system.in. This will take the input from the console keyboard during the runtime. Now, what is the syntax for taking the inputs from the console? So we have to write sc.next, and if you are only giving next, it will take an input of string, and there are some more data types like boolean, next byte, next double, next float. I am going to take next int for simplicity. So let me take next int. So this next int, if I am taking, it will be taking an input from the console for one integer value. So that I need to assign in the variable. Without assigning to the variable, we cannot store it and we cannot use it anywhere in the program. So you have to store it in a variable. From the console I am taking. So let me print this on the console again. So I am taking a value, and let me, maybe I will give number plus 1. So this num I am taking and I am increasing by 1 and printing on the console. So let's see how this exactly work. Run as Java application. So the console, just a minute. So run as Java application. So where is the console? Just a minute. It is running somewhere. Okay, this console. So you can also open the console from this window, show view console. So the console is waiting for our input. So I am entering 44. Let's say 44 I am entering, and I am pressing the enter key. After and inputting the number, you need to press an enter key. Then only the input will be considered. So 44 I have entered, and I am doing number plus 1, right? So it is incremented and printed on the console. So if you want to also have a message printed like saying enter a number. Enter a number. So previously, if you see, if I do not put this again, if I run one more time, it is just waiting, right? But we don't know that it is waiting for the input. So if you want to see that like it is waiting for some input, just put a print statement saying that enter a number. So if I place the cursor here, so I need to input some value like let me put 68 and press enter key, then 69 will come. So this is how you can take an value and take the input from the console and assign it into the variable in the runtime. So I have created an integer value. So similarly, let me take some other values. So this one I am going to comment out. So let me take some other value like a character or any other data type. So I am going to take double. So double d equal to sc dot next. So sc dot next double. So double means decimal point value I need to provide. So here again I am giving enter a number, that is fine. So enter a number with decimal values. So let me run one more time. So now I am going to give like something like this. So and if I am pressing enter, since I didn't put any print statement, nothing happened. So let me put a print statement sys out and put the variable here, and I am going to increment it with maybe with increase it by 10. So let me run as Java application, and I am going to enter a value 34.67 and press enter. So it is incremented by 10 and 44.67 came. So you can declare a double value like this and assign it from the console. You can read it like this. So accordingly, we can also declare a string variable like uh, maybe let's take the city equal to sc dot next you have to use. So there is no method like next string, you have to use next only. So the city is, so we can print a message like this. So uh, maybe the print statement, let me comment out, and here let me put another print statement saying enter a city. Run as Java application. So it is asking for city. So I am in Hyderabad. So I am entering Hyderabad. So the city is Hyderabad. So this is how strings also we can uh, take the input accordingly like this. Now why we are learning this? So we have taken the input, we have taken the double, we have learned strings. Accordingly, you can also try it out for character also. So enter a character like char value. So declare a character variable equal to sc dot. There is no method like next char. So you can take maybe the next string itself you can take for now, and let me print it on the console. So ch I am printing. So it is throwing a type mismatch error, so cannot convert string to character. So I think there is no specific method to actually take a character variable. So if you are even inputting a single character, you can probably take the string itself. So here I am taking a string, and let me run as Java application. So it is asking for saving. So click on OK. Now Hyderabad I am entering for first city, and the second character I am just entering S, and it is printing S. So for taking character there is no method. So you have to use the next method only. It will be string data type, but if you want to input only single character, it will allow. So single or more than one character, it is fine. So this is how you can input single value from the keyboard. But in terms of the arrays that we are learning now, if you want to take multiple values, right? So here everything we have learned about single values. So I am going to close all these classes and everything. Now let me create one more class and let's learn about reading multiple values per arrays. So from the keyboard we are going to take multiple values, then click on finish. So now again the same declaration we have to do. Scanner SE equal to any variable name you can specify for scanner. So new scanner of system dot in. You have to specify this, and the scanner you have to resolve this error. Do the import statement. Keep the cursor on the scanner, and there will be an error. You have to do the import. Now let's put a print statement saying that enter a number, enter like first number. Let me take like so. Okay. I think I am trying to declare for variables. Um, so before this, let me refresh the topic about arrays, right? So how we'll generally declare the array values. So I am going to suppose I am reading 5 values, right? So I am going to declare a variable and assign it with 5 values. And if we are hard coding the values, how we are doing? So we are going to give something like a of 0 equal to 100, a of 1 equal to 200, like this we are going to give. So all the 5 values you can assign accordingly. This is like writing the code inside the class itself. We are writing everything here only, but if you want to take the input, we can use a for loop and we can take the input here. So let me remove this one. So for this I need to definitely have this declaration statement. So this is called as variable declaration. So variable declaration is definitely needed, but variable initialization, right? The assigning the values I am not writing in the class itself. I am going to write it like assign it using an scanner object from the console input. So I am going to remove this system.out.println. So for this, if you want to input multiple values, I need to use a for loop. If you want to print it on the console or if you want to read it from the console also, you need to use a for loop here. So I am starting with the 0th index. So until which number of elements I need to iterate, I less than a dot length, and then I plus plus. Then inside this for loop I need to write the code. So what I have to write, sc dot next int. I have taken an int, so I am going to take next int, and where I have to assign this value, I have to assign it with a of I. So previously, if you remember, I have showed you a of 0 equal to 100, a of 1 equal to 200. So this is the way we are hard coding the values in the program in the class. But if you want to use a for loop, you are using an index, right? Then index you need to pass here a of I. So let me remove this and let's try to read from the console. Now you have to input multiple values. So here how many values it need to read, right? 5 values. So it will wait for 5 values, then only the loop will terminate. So this loop will continue to wait. It will not throw any message, but it will continue to wait and say that I'm waiting for the values. So if you want to know about it, then you have to write a print statement. So there is some error. Let me check. Okay, there is no error. So sys out. Why it is not coming? Okay, so this print statement, let me put it inside the for loop. Enter a number, I will say. So every time it will wait for the number to input. Just this is for user visibility only. This is not required. but you don't know that whether a number need to be entered, right? Then for 5 times you need to enter. That is the reason I am putting a message here. So once every value is read, then finally we need to know whether that is working or not. So for that, let's write one more print statement and array values. So we will use the inbuilt method arrays.toString of this array you need to pass. That's it. So let me execute this and check whether this code will work. Run as Java application. So it is waiting for a value. So let me put 10 and it is again waiting for value. Let me put 20. Then it is waiting for value 11. It is waiting for value again 22. So I have entered 10, 20, 11, 22, 32, 31. So like this you can also read from the console using a for loop. So first of all, what we have done, we have declared a variable for array and we have created a scanner object. So this is called as object declaration. So just remember it for today. So this is object creation. So in programming, we will extensively use it, but we will learn about this topic on classes and objects topic. There is a full dedicated session on this. So that time we will discuss what is class, what is object. So for today, we are declaring a variable. This is the syntax. So you are taking from the system.input, which is the console, and this variable sc.next. This is the syntax to read the value of an integer which is input in the console. So if you are inputting a decimal value or a string, it will throw an error. So if you are expecting input of integer, only enter integer. If you are entering some other value, it will throw an error. So you just make sure like in the practice you can try anything and like learn from the mistakes, but here I am going to try only the integer values. So I'm inputting 5 values and finally I'm just printing this on the console. So this is how you can able to like read the values from the console as well using the scanner class.